What's up, everybody? This is Hector Tech Preacher. So welcome to another episode of me reacting to my own videos. So back in 2018, I made a no fluff, no pass video of the Blackberry KeyOne. It was a device that was my love-hate child. Back in 2018, I made this no fluff, no passes. Now, I was making videos about Blackberry, and I really didn't like the KeyOne. And I put it on the no fluff, no pass video, and I want to react to it. I haven't saw it in so long. So let's have some fun reacting to the old Blackberry KeyOne. Sit back, relax, and get your popcorn ready and follow me on this journey. Let's go. Oh, come on, man. Yeah. Look at that B-roll. Just terrible. Like, I couldn't do B-rolls back then. Like, the B-rolls was bad. Yeah, I mean, look at that. No, focus.
What's up, everybody? This your boy, Eric from Easy Computer Solution. So welcome to another episode of No Fluff, No Passes. Well, I put a device on the chopping block and see if it's worthy of your purchase of 2018. Look, I'm a business guy.
Wait a minute. First of all, I want to give a shout out to my moms, my parents. I shot this video at my parents' house. Like, they went somewhere, and I put up a smartphone in their kitchen, and I decided to shoot this video. I shot this entire video in my mom's house. Shout out to my parents, baby.
I use a Blackberry KeyOne.
And listen, the audio suck on it
for business.
God.
This is a device that I've been using off and on for the past year.
Yes.
And so today, guys, I'm putting this device on the No Fluff, No Passes episode. And the reason why is because we got the Blackberry KeyOne has been unveiled. And so
wait. So I say KeyOne, so I already misspoke. So you got to remember, this was 2018. I wasn't using the teleprompter. I wasn't using nothing. I'm going straight off the dome, right? So this entire video is being shot from a smartphone. I had a wired microphone pinned on me, going all the way to the smartphone. So that's why the audio is terrible, but let's go.
A lot of people will be looking at the KeyOne as a device to purchase because of the cost and everything, right? So let me give you my thoughts about the Blackberry KeyOne. And should you buy this device in 2018? So sit back and relax and get your popcorn ready
and follow me on this journey. Let's go. Man, look at that. Oh, I like that. I like that. Come on now. Let's go easy. Let's go. Come on.
What's up, guys? This is Eric again with another video. So I got the KeyOne here, and let me give you my thoughts about this device.
Come on.
First of all, let's go ahead and talk about the specs. So the KeyOne has a 4.5-inch 1080p display.
Ooh, look at them specs.
Snapdragon 620.
So back in 2018, I complained about the specs. Everybody else was doing 6 gigs of RAM back then, and you had some devices that had 8 gigs of RAM. BlackBerry decided to put a business powerhouse device with 3 gigs of RAM, 32 gigs of storage. We did have SD card support. The battery life was about 3,500 milliamp, which was pretty decent, right? And it had the 625 processor. I didn't have no issues with the 625 processor when everybody else was running the 801, 805s and stuff like that. So, but I did have an issue with the RAM, and I know I talk about this in this video.
5 processor with 3 or 4 gigs of RAM. We got 32 gigs of internal storage complemented by SD card support. We got a 12 megapixel camera in the rear, 8 megapixel camera on the front. We got USB Type-C along with a headphone jack on this device. So we hit the specs on the Blackberry KeyOne, right? Yes, these are mid-tier specs, especially in 2018, right? When you got a lot of devices that has a whole lot more power than this device.
Yes.
But there it is. So let's talk about the design of the Blackberry KeyOne. Yes, this device is elegant, very beautiful, business-like, right? As a business guy, when you pull this phone out, yes, it's meant for business. You got your keyboard here at the bottom. You got that nice black rubbery texture at the back, right? Yes, this definitely a device that you can roll without a case. You do have elegance and nostalgia with this device that screams Blackberry. As a business owner, you know, when you pull this device out, it looks good, it feels good, right? But overall, the design of the device is very classy, very business.
Listen, man, I'm not gonna lie to you. The Blackberry KeyOne is an absolutely beautiful device. I didn't have no problem with the design of the device. It was an excellent, elegant, nostalgia type device. I don't know why I put it on. Well, I knew why I put it on no fluff, no passes, which I'm gonna get into in this video. But I'm just saying, like, it was a good phone, man. Like, I really wanted BlackBerry to succeed. I wanted BlackBerry to come out with a flagship device without cutting corners on processing speed and RAM, because it was built for, typing notes and emails and stuff like that. But I had issues with it.
It's like, so that's a good thing when you're talking about the Blackberry KeyOne. So let's talk about the performance of the Blackberry KeyOne, and that may be a deal breaker to some people.
There we go.
Listen, I love the 600 series processors, but not in this phone.
Ooh.
As a business owner, when you're doing heavy multitasking, copy and pasting from one app to the next app, going through my Excel spreadsheets, going through heavy email with about 6 email clients.
Ooh, look at that.
I had to actually delete the BlackBerry Hub on this device.
What the hell?
The performance on this device is very bad. A lot of people might leave comments, yes, my phone runs smooth as butter. As a business owner, I use the device for heavy use, multitasking from one app to the next, definitely typing the email, going through some heavy lifting, especially if you got heavy attachments. This phone gets bogged down very bad. I believe that the Blackberry KeyOne is made for business owners, right? It's made for the business environment. Well, if it's made for the business environment, then it has to have the power to run business stuff, right? A lot of people might say, well, my phone runs smooth. Yes, if you run a single application on this device. But if you're doing some heavy lifting, some heavy multitasking, doing some typing some email, taking Word and going from Word to email, then from email to attachments, then to all kinds of different things using VPN services, this device just can't handle it.
Ooh. Okay, so basically what I was saying is that if you want to use it for heavy use, this phone was not made, well, it was kind of, I thought it was made for heavy use. You would think that, okay, it has a keyboard, it's made for the business environment. If you have multiple email clients, and you send in heavy attachments, whether or not it's going to be PDFs and everything else in between. Once you're going from email to email, constantly emailing and typing up and sending attachments, downloading PDFs and stuff like that, this device was not, it just didn't have the power for that. And a lot of people criticized me. I know Juan Bagnell, me and him went blow for blow about this. And my whole thing was, if you go make a device for the business environment, it has to do things for business people. Right? So if you made a BlackBerry for the business environment, it has to handle business tasks. This phone does not handle that. It just didn't.
Now we have Android P betas out right now. And this phone is running Android 7.1.1.
Yes, it was running
unacceptable in 2018. I mean, right now, Android 8 has been out.
Yeah, Android 8 was out.
And this device has not received the new iteration of Android. Yes, I have security patches, but at the
end, people criticize me because I was hammering devices back then for not getting updates. And I do understand now that if the device is optimized, if it's getting security patches, if it's running a very solid build of Android, and if it's intended to be for a business owner, for the business environment, then OS is pretty much null and void. But I didn't understand that back in 2018. I think 7.1.1 was fine for this device if BlackBerry was to put at least 6 gigs of RAM in this device, or and maybe just a little more power. 700. I don't think the 700 series processor was out. Maybe the 805s or something like that. This device at that time, I think it would have been a fantastic device.
I think this device needs some TLC, needs some bug fixes, needs some ways where you can make this device run a lot smoother. So I think BlackBerry TCL, instead of going with the lower end processors for us business clients, they need to think about a higher end processor and maybe putting a higher end battery life. Now, a lot of people might say, well, the reason why they went with the 600 series processors is because of battery life. Listen, to me, I'd rather sacrifice a little battery for power. And I think a lot of people will sacrifice a little battery life for power. So let's talk about the cameras on the Blackberry KeyOne.
What about the cameras?
This device has a 12 megapixel camera in the rear, 8 megapixel camera in the front.
God.
Now, in perfect daylight, perfect lighting, this device gets very good still footage, also very good video footage. But at night, that's when it falls apart. Let me show you some examples of what I'm talking about with the Blackberry KeyOne camera.
Come on. Oh, that was terrible. Look how bad that camera is. I said it looked good. I die. Oh, no. Come on. Oh, what? Yeah. What? Yeah. Oh, that look good. That ain't bad. That ain't bad. Ooh, night, it don't look bad. The nighttime don't look too bad. That look like it got a flash.
So this is the front-facing camera of the Blackberry KeyOne. And as you can see, I am in bright daylight here.
Same camera, same glass.
Kind of transitioning in my face. So there it is. Kind of turn around a little bit and let y'all guys
look at that.
The
clean shaven and shit.
Blackberry KeyOne. All right, guys. So this is nighttime footage here.
Listen, man.
KeyOne. I'm shooting this at 1080p. 30 frames per second. So let's go and check it out. This is nighttime footage here. It's very cold out, about 3 a.m. in the morning.
Ooh.
And
why would I be shooting 3 o'clock in the morning? Look at that.
For focusing.
Damn. Oh, the camera sucks.
1080p, 30 frames per second. So y'all guys can see that.
That camera sucks.
Yes. Wow. As you can see in the daytime, perfect lighting.
Yeah.
The cameras work superbly, right?
Superbly.
But at night.
Hey, listen, I see a lot of strange stuff in videos. Now, you got to remember, there's no teleprompter, no nothing. I did everything on the top of my dome. I didn't have no teleprompter here. And I shot this video with a smartphone. That's, but yeah.
Falls apart. So overall, this camera's kind of hit and miss when it comes down to stills and video footage, especially at night. So overall, if you're in perfect lighting in the daytime, you would get perfect shots. But low light scenarios and dark scenarios, you could forget about it on a Blackberry KeyOne. So let's talk about the battery life on a Blackberry KeyOne. Listen, 3505 milliamp battery is.
So right here, this is a perfect scenario that I want to talk about. When I talk about the device had a lack of RAM, I was averaging 2.8 gigs of RAM when all I have is 3 gigs of RAM. This is why I had issues with this device bogging down, because I was averaging 2.8 gigs of RAM just by normal use. And so this is one of the reasons why the device would start to get slow as a sludge, because it was out of RAM. I guess it was doing swap at that point, but it was just it just couldn't handle it.
Yes, you could get a day and a half of usage out of the Blackberry KeyOne, especially with the 625 processor, right? So when it comes down to battery life.
Man, listen, man, it's so crazy. Like, I'm seeing 5 hours of screen on time. 5 hours of screen on time, and I still had a lot of juice left, right? That is so insane that when I talk about devices in 2025 or devices was in 2024, it's very difficult to get over 5 to 6 hours of screen on time. Like and I praise the OnePlus 12. I mean, I could squeeze out about 6.5, 7 hours of screen on time on a OnePlus 12. And the Galaxy S25 Ultra, 6.5 hours max, probably a little less. But I'm getting over 5 or maybe 6 hours on the 3500 milliamp battery on the KeyOne. And yeah, so I mean, listen, man, even though this technology was old, right, at today's standards, but battery life was better in my opinion. I had good battery life on older devices.
Yes, you could get long battery life with this device.
Let's see, that's a 78%? So wait a minute, I got 5.5 hours of screen on time, and I still got 78% battery life left. So absolutely, this device can smoke my OnePlus 12. It can smoke my Galaxy S25 Ultra, and you can forget about the Galaxy Z Folds and stuff like that. The iPhone, they probably gonna smoke it and stuff like that. Think about this, right? And we used to criticize battery life way back in 2018, 2019, and 2020. But actuality, those devices was cranking out more screen on time than today's devices, and that is insane.
So it is king supreme when it comes down to the battery life. I don't have no gripes about the battery life on the KeyOne. I think the Key2 will be excellent when it comes down to battery life. You can charge up in the morning and rest assured that you don't have to have a battery charger with you as you go out through your day with the Blackberry KeyOne. So thumbs up to the battery life on the Blackberry KeyOne.
Yes.
So let's talk about the keyboard on a Blackberry KeyOne. Listen, no fluff, no passes.
I didn't like the keyboard at that time. At that time,
what you hear, right? If you're coming from a virtual keyboard to this keyboard, it's like night and day, which is maybe a good thing or a bad thing. Look, I like the keyboard, but it's a love-hate child for this keyboard. Listen, I'm going to be real with you on this one, right? If you already typing on a virtual keyboard and you're a fast typist on a virtual keyboard, you would not like this keyboard. You won't
like this keyboard, though.
A lot of people may not like what I'm saying here.
Say it again, Easy.
This keyboard has 3 rows of letters.
Yes.
And as you type in, and if you want to go to numbers, you have to long press on Alt to get to numbers.
Yes.
Listen, to me, sometimes that may be a no-go, especially if you're a fast typist. Especially when you want to type out something really fast and you want to go from letters to numbers, letters to numbers. Yes, you could put an on-screen keyboard on here.
What's the point?
Right? But what's the purpose of using a tactile keyboard where you have to actually put an on-screen keyboard to type numbers and different types of characters? Yeah. One of the biggest issues that I have with this device, right, is that when you type in, right, and all of a sudden you need to get to numbers, you have to long press on something just to go to the numbers. If you want to do capitalization, you have to long press on the up button just to get to the capitalization. To me, it bogs down the whole experience. I thought, and I believe, that this phone should have 4 rows of keys, right? Even if you have to make the screen bigger, make this device bigger, something. And the reason why is because of the number row. I found myself, even when typing with a lot of letters, somewhere in your email, somewhere in your document, somewhere when you type in a long document, you have to put numbers in. And that's one of my biggest issues here with this device.
So I'm contradicting myself. Now, I know this was made in 2018, right? And I know I criticized the device that doesn't have 4 rows, right? But I talk gracefully about like the Unihertz devices that I'm using currently, because that only have 3 rows, right? And if you have to get to the numbers, you have to, hard press it to get to the numbers and stuff like that. Listen, I understand. This is 2018. I know people like, well, Easy, you today you love it, but back it's 2018, I didn't like it, and I have every right to change, right, the way I feel about something, and I didn't like it at the time.
So should you buy a Blackberry KeyOne in 2018, mid-2018, for the $450 price point? I don't know, man. It's one of those things that this device is running Android 7.1.1. Don't know when it's going to get updated.
It didn't get updated.
This device, to me, has some hit and misses with the keyboard. The camera's low light is a no-go. You definitely got good battery life. You definitely got some things that's good with this device. Right? For $450, I think the 625 processor, 3 gigs or 4 gigs of RAM, it doesn't matter. I think that you definitely got to consider that when buying this phone. It is a very good nostalgia device. It's one of those things that you definitely have to consider paying your hard-earned $450 plus dollars for the Blackberry KeyOne.
Think about that. $450 was expensive back in 2018. We talk about devices right now that's $1,500, $1,600, close to $2,000 for foldables. And everybody might say in the comment, well, technology have changed. Listen, man, we complained back then that devices was high. Like $450 was very expensive for a smartphone back then. And again, people might say, well, Easy, things are different. Technology is better. But think about that. Is it really though? I mean, we're still not getting this like super awesome battery life that we got back then. The build quality on older devices was still good. Matter of fact, some of the build quality on the older devices like the Realmes and some of the old Galaxy was absolutely beautiful compared to today's phones. So the build quality is personal preference. The displays is about what, right? I mean, displays was great back then and they're good today, right? I will say that the cameras is a little different on certain devices. You get better low light. But I mean, for a whole $1,000 extra, you're paying for, cameras. But I would say, again, going back to devices like my Realme devices, like my old LG devices, those cameras are phenomenal. So, I mean, I wouldn't even say that it's there. So, when you talk about, and I'm criticizing the price, but man, $450, I would love to have devices that's flagship quality. And this wasn't a flagship, it was a mid-ranger, right? But I mean, we still have mid-rangers that's $699 and $799, stuff like that. But it just makes it feel different that I called out a $450 device, pretty much expensive for mid-range. But man, that's the key. That is going to be the KeyOne in 2018. Look, one of the things that I absolutely love about this video is that I had it on my chest. You could tell that I had it on my chest because I did not use a teleprompter, right?
Knowing that the Blackberry KeyOne
all right. So the KeyOne, I believe, was announced or released right after I made this video, which the KeyOne specs was better, right? The 660 processor with 6 gigs of RAM. So that solved that problem, right, of RAM. So you got 6 gigs of RAM. You got a better processor instead of 625. We got the 660, which was better. Instead of, 32 gigs of storage, we got 64 gigs of storage, which is better. Now the milliamp battery, I think the KeyOne was a 3520 milliamp battery. So this was a 3500 milliamp battery. And the KeyOne came out with Android 8 with, the KeyOne was on Android 7.1.1. It didn't get updated. But there it is, right? Man, it was pretty cool, man. I loved it. Listen, the editing was great on there and everything. I love that, man. If you want to see more reaction videos, I got thousands of videos, y'all. Y'all just don't know. I have a lot of videos. So if you want to see more reaction videos, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell. This is the Tech Preacher. Leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think about the Blackberry KeyOne 2018, baby, a device that I did not like in all its glory. It wasn't glory back then, but looking back at it, I could have gave it a little more slack on certain things. In all its glory. See you guys on the next video. Peace.